If you truly believed that you were a world-class CISO, without a shadow of a doubt, you knew that, you woke up every day owning that, that's what you think about, that's what you focus, and you know that you are a world-class CISO. Welcome to Life of a CISO. I'm Dr. Eric Cole, your host, and we'll be taking you on a journey each week on what it takes to be a CISO and what are solutions that you can implement today if you are currently a Chief Information Security Officer or if you want to be one in the future. This is Life of a CISO. Welcome to one of my favorite times of the week with yours truly, Dr. Eric Cole, giving you Life of a CISO, coming to you live from my studio in Ashburn, Virginia. And I love putting this together and having a virtual conversation with you because it's all about becoming a world-class CISO. Every one of you has the potential to be world-class and to achieve your goals, and every one of you have a unique purpose of why you're here. And my goal is to help you find it, right? My goal is to help you achieve it. Now, if you're enjoying these podcasts, keep listening. I'm going to keep putting them out there. I'm going to keep putting them out there for free because my purpose for being on this planet is to make cyberspace a safe place to live, work, and raise a family. It's basically to end suffering in cyberspace. You got to have audacious goals, right? And that's why I was created, and I truly believe that. So I'm going to keep helping and giving out free content. However, this will get you there to world class, but it's a slower path. So if you want to take that slower path of continuing to listen and get information in a couple years, you can get there. That's awesome. I'm going to encourage you to keep doing it. But I just want to let you know that there's an accelerated path, right? There's the fast pass highway, right? If you want to get there in 6 months or less, and that's my CISO certification, which is a 6-month program, 40 hours of knowledge transfer, yours truly customized just for this purpose. 6 months of group coaching with, once again, yours truly, and then a private peer group where you can interact with other folks and other people. So if that's of interest to you, just click on that link, secure-anchor.com/CISO, or you can always email me, ecole@secure-anchor.com. My team monitors that, and one of my great team members will get back to you and talk about this amazing program. And I love it because we keep having more and more graduates of the program, and the success stories I'm hearing from these folks are just amazing. So the proof is in the pudding. We've been doing this for about a year now, and we are just getting amazing results, all because of you, right? I'm giving you all the credit because you guys do the work, but if that's something where you want to just go to that next level, just warp speed, CISO certification is definitely something you want to keep in mind. I always like starting with just some stories, examples, a little motivation to get us going. I am fighting a little bit of a cough here. I feel fine. I'm doing great. It's just when I talk, right, the cough comes up. So it's funny. I don't always go, but I have a great doctor. He's all about preventive medicine. His whole philosophy is good doctors respond to illnesses, amazing doctors prevent illnesses, right? So if you're interested in the Ashburn area, Dr. Habib from Next Health, he is amazing. I want to give a shout out to him because he's become a good friend of mine. I go to him on a regular basis, and he is just amazing at keeping people super healthy. So if you go to him, just tell him Eric sent you. He'll appreciate that. But I've gone to him, and he's like, Eric, it's real simple. He goes, you just need to rest for a couple of days. Just lay down, don't really do anything, and most importantly, don't talk. As he's saying this, he starts laughing because he knows me. I'm like, do you really think I'm going to do that? Do you really think I'm just going to lay in bed for 3 days and do nothing? And most importantly, you think I'm not going to talk? Right? Come on, man. That's like crazy, right? So I'm going to keep pushing through, and not to help things, but it's been, business is booming. We do expert witness work, assessments, CISO cert. We do a lot of things here, and I've had two depots the last 2 days. So actually 3. So Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I had 3 different depots and cases. So that's talking for 7 hours on the record, which turns out to be about 8 or 9 hour days, sometimes 10. So you've been going for 3 days, but I'm back at it, right, doing this. So we'll get through this. If you could just deal with the coughs, right, we'll be rocking and rolling, right? It's all mindset. I'm healthy, I'm focused, and nothing's going to stop me, right? So first thing I want to talk about is I can give you all the tips and tricks. I can tell you every question you need to ask, and we're going to cover some of those today, and everything you need to do to become a world-class CISO. But if who you associate and how you think about yourself doesn't change, then you're never going to be a world-class CISO. And I just mean this from the bottom of my heart. I care about each one of you. None of what I present here is meant to upset anyone, frustrate anyone, or anything like that. But sometimes you got to have honest adult conversations. And the simple truth is this: if you truly, truly believed that you were a world-class CISO, without a shadow of a doubt, you knew that, you woke up every day owning that, that's what you think about, that's what you focus, and you know that you are a world-class CISO, you would be one, right? That's the reality of it. So that's why people always go, why do you spend some time on doing some of this mindset motivational stuff? It's funny. The mindset motivation for people that don't understand me, my program, and my focus on creating world-class CISOs is the one area I get the most criticism of. I just got one from my friend the other day. He was a business partner many, many, many years ago. He's like, Eric, what the heck are you doing? I listened to 10 minutes of one of your podcasts and you're talking about mindset motivation. What the heck does that have to do with anything? And I'm like, listen to 5 episodes and you'll understand. But here's the reason why I do it. The number one compliment I get from people and people that have gone through my CISO certification program is, Eric, it's amazing. I came for the strategic part. I came for you to teach me how a CISO acts and behaves, the questions, the way they act, the translation, the components. But the most valuable thing for me that changed everything are the mindsets, the thoughts, and how I approach life. So that's why I cover this, because like I said, people are not successful because of many, many reasons. One of them is they don't have the skills. They don't have the skills and don't have the expertise. So I give you that. But the other reason, and the reason why I spend some time on it in my life of a CISO, is you don't have the right mindset and you're not surrounded by the right people. And this is probably one of the biggest things for people that are coming from a technical background. Is it possible, if you've been a world-class security engineer for 12 years, for you to transition into a world-class CISO? Yes. But it's very, very, very difficult, and here's why. All of your habits, all of your focus, all of your thoughts, and wait for it, all of the people you hang around are world-class security engineers, are world-class technical people. So if you go and try to become a CISO, and let's say you do get the job, and then you get frustrated, and on the weekends, who are you going to call? Not Ghostbusters, right? Who you're going to call are your friends that are technical people that are going to fill you with technical knowledge and give you technical advice on how to solve it, because that's what world-class security engineers do. And what are you going to do? You're going to go in Monday and you're going to take that advice and what you surrounded yourself with for 48 hours over the weekend, and you're going to show up now as a world-class security engineer with a CISO title. And that is probably one of the biggest reasons for failures of CISO. You need to understand and have a technical background, but you have to hang around with business folks. So if you want to become a world-class CISO, start finding other CISOs. That's why, as the CISO cert, one of the key components, and this was purposefully designed, There's a private peer group of other CISOs. So now every day you can jump into that private peer group and ask questions and communicate. And now you're being surrounded by the people you need to be surrounded with. And then on the weekend, if you had a rough week because you're a brand new CISO, don't go to your world-class security engineers. Go to the peer group, and you can now associate with other CISOs and start acting and thinking and behaving like a CISO. But until you change your mindset, nothing is going to change. Now, the good news is, and I don't know if this is good news, but I think it's good news, because there's such a demand for CISOs out there today, and I've cracked the code on how to show up, how to interview, and what you need to do to become a CISO, you can get a job as a CISO, even though you're not thinking correctly, even though deep down inside you're still a world-class security engineer and you haven't changed your thoughts, habits, or patterns. But you're not going to last, and you're not going to be world-class. Now, I know some people that are in the CISO role. Every 12 to 18 months, they move on to a new role, right? And they're gainfully employed. They're doing great, and they just keep moving on because they have the CISO title and experience, so people will hire them. But after a year or so, they get frustrated and the company gets frustrated because deep down inside, there's a security engineer that wants to break out, right? And it's not allowed to, right? So they keep moving on. And that's fine. And that's cool. But that's not world class. I want you to be world class. It hasn't happened yet, but my goal and objective is to train up world-class CISOs that after they're at a company for 5 to 7 years, become the CEOs. Because I believe that cybersecurity is that important to a business, and having somebody that understands business, knows business, thinks business, and directly correlates that into cybersecurity as a business enabler is the CEOs of the future. I truly, truly believe that. So that's what I want for each one of you. I want you to become so world-class chiefs that you eventually become the CEO and running those entire companies. Now, if you have different visions, that's great. I'll still make you world-class, but that's, to me, what I think of when I think of world-class CISO. And I'll just finish with one of my favorite stories. By the way, I say that about every story. I have about 3,000 favorite stories. But one of my favorite stories is there's a person sitting outside of a town, just sitting on a bench, relaxing. And a couple comes up to him and says, "Hey, we're moving to this town, and we wonder what the people are like. We wonder what the people are like in this town." And the person asks them, "What were the people like in the town you came from?" And they said, "Oh, the town we came from, the people were awful. They were always complaining. They were always frustrating. They was always upset. There was never anything good going on. The people that were running the town, the mayor was just awful. It was just not a great place, and the reason why we're moving." And the person looks at him and says, "Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but this town is going to be exactly the same way." And they walk away. And then about 40 minutes later, another couple comes up to that person and says, "Hey, we're thinking about moving to this town, and we wonder what the people are like." And the person says, "Well, what were the people like in the town you came from?" And they said, "Oh, they were the most amazing people. Everyone was so kind and positive. It was the most amazing place. The people that ran the town were so forward-thinking, and it was just so amazing. We're actually very, very sad to be leaving that town, but we just need to for job purposes." And the person looks at him and says, "Oh, you're in luck. This town is exactly the same way." Now notice, the person basically told the people that the town is based on what their thoughts are, because guess what? If you think things are bad and negative and down, then everything's going to be bad, negative, down. And if you think everything's positive and great, it's the same way. That controls everything. Your thoughts control what happens. And once again, I could change this story a little bit where Eric is sitting outside a company and a person is coming up to me and says, hey, I'm interviewing for the CISO position, and I'm wondering what this company is like. And I ask you, well, what was the previous company like? And you go, oh, it was rough. The executives don't understand security. They wouldn't invite me to the key meetings. I wasn't involved in what I needed to be, and they just never, ever listened to my advice or what I said. And I will be like, hate to tell you this company is going to be the same exact way. And then if a different person comes up and goes, hey, Eric, what's this company like? And I say, what's the company like you came from? It's amazing. I'm invited to all the board meetings. They listen to me. I'm a key player. I just got a promotion where now I report directly to the board as the security officer for the entire company and all the divisions. They understand security. It's a business enabler. It's just such a great place to work, but I'm just looking for a new opportunity. And what would I say? Good news. This company's the exact same way, right? You're picking up where we're going here. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And by the way, even if you're not, just nod your head, right? That's what's great with virtual. I just picture everybody in total agreement, right? Awesome, awesome. So that's really the key thing is you got to truly believe you are a world-class CISO before you become a world-class CISO. And you need to hang around and be associated with other CISOs. Otherwise, you're going to behave and act like those you hang around, right? And if those you hang around are security engineers, it's not going to get you to that next level. So now I want to switch. I always like putting a little motivation because to me, it's 360. World-class CISOs, you got to be in great shape. I haven't talked about exercise in a while. I'll probably do that in the next one. But if this isn't healthy, if you're sick all the time, you let me talk now, cough it, but I'm still having fun and I'm getting through this. But if you're sick all the time and in the hospital, you can't operate at your full potential. So that's critical. Then this has to be on correctly. You have to have clear, focused mindset. You have to have relationships with the right people. And then boom, it's all about the strategy, skills, mindset of a CISO, which is what we're going to cover right now. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Executives want to talk to you. Executives want to hear from you. One of the number one concerns of executives and the board of directors of companies is they are concerned about cybersecurity. They don't understand cybersecurity, and they want somebody to tell them in their language, in business language. The problem that most people don't realize is, first, some CISOs and many security engineers, they don't believe that. They don't think the executives want to understand or hear about security, and therefore, they don't push that agenda. Let me just make this real clear. If you're a CISO or you work in cybersecurity and you're not talking to your executives at least monthly, I would do it weekly, but start off monthly, and you are not presenting to the board at the quarterly meeting, even if it's a 10-minute Q&A session, you are not operating at the level of world class. The number one problem and challenge facing organizations today is cybersecurity. Executives want to know about it, but nobody is telling them. Now, just so we're clear, if you want somebody to understand what you're saying, you need to speak in their language, not in your language. To me, one of the worst things we do to kids is we teach them the phrase, treat people the way you want to be treated. That's garbage, because you're not me. So if I treat you the way I want to be treated and I speak the language I want to be spoken to in, you're not going to understand it. It's not going to make any sense and you're going to get frustrated. The correct version of that phrase is treat people the way they want to be treated. Not the way you, but the way they. So what is the language that executives want you to speak? Business. Essentially, They want to know, what is cybersecurity in business language? They don't want technical mumbo jumbo. They want a clear definition, and they want it explained to them. Then they want to understand, they're very familiar with risk. Running businesses is all about risk management. So risk is not a new concept to them. So then they want to know, what are the things that could happen to their business? What are the exposures that would allow those things to happen? And then at a high level strategic standpoint, what are the recommendations strategically that you would encourage them to put in place? I'm doing now, because it's such a huge need, I'm doing executive presentations. I think it's about once or twice a week right now. I just was in Reston the end of last week for a $5 billion company. I presented to their board, and it's amazing. I mean, they are taking notes, engaging, asking questions. They love this information. And every time after I get the presentation, I always say, I know you've asked a lot of questions and I'm here to serve you, but I'm curious if I could ask one question. And they're like, sure. And I'm like, you have security people and a security team. Why did you bring me in? And it's always two-part answer. One is, Eric, we wanted somebody who could speak and understand our language. And whenever we've had briefings from our security folks, it's way too technical. It's way too technical and tactical. We don't care about network architecture diagrams. We don't care about flow charts and false positives and false negatives. We don't care about seeing all the dashboards in the SOC. That's not what we want to know. We want to know what you presented. Second, and this is one, is we wanted somebody who will listen to what we want and provide answers to our question. Most of my executive presentations, it's always funny because they're like, Eric, want a tight deadline. 60 minutes. You got to be done in 60 minutes. And I say, okay, how long do you want me to present for? And they go, 50 minutes and 10 minutes of questions. I'm like, not going to work. I said, I'll do 30 minutes of presentation and 30 minutes of questions. And they're like, oh no, Eric, there's not going to be that many questions. And every time we run over, not because of me, but because the questions just go on and on. This last one, it was funny because they had a really, really tight agenda. And the chairman of the board basically looked at the other person. I felt bad for him, and it was something to do with audit. And he looks and goes, I know the next item on the agenda is audit, and we have an hour for that. That's not really as important as this. So let's cut that audit presentation to 20 minutes, and let's give Dr. Cole 40 minutes for Q&A. And I felt so, the person was so mad at me, but I'm like, it's not my fault. Like, but the point is, executives want to hear from you. And here's the best advice I can give. Ask questions. The reason why most boards don't listen to the security folks is because the security folks think they know everything. The security folks walk into the meeting believing that they are smarter than everyone in the room. I will tell you right now, and this is a hard one. When you're a world-class security engineer, in most cases, you probably are the smartest person in the room because you're brilliant. But when you become a world-class CISO and you're in board rooms and others, you are not the smartest person in the room. I will tell you right now, I mean, I don't want to give away the company, but the entity just last week that I spoke to, I mean, these are major players. Like, we're talking Secretary of Defense, senators, CEOs of $50 billion, I mean, names you would know and recognize. And this is who I'm presenting to. And I'll first tell you, it's very, very humbling, right, to be in that environment. But second, I know that when it comes to rank ordering, I'm at the bottom of the smartest people in the room list. So that's the mindset. So what I always do when I have presentations is I'll always engage in questions. So I'll start off and say, when you think of cybersecurity, what do you think of? What are the things that come to mind? What are the biggest concerns you have about cybersecurity? What are the things that keep you up at night and worry you the most? And you'll find if you focus on understanding your audience and asking questions and getting a foundation for what's important to them and what they focus on, then when you present, everything changes. You will be listened to. They will be taking notes, and they will invite you back on a regular basis. You don't have, if you're an effective communicator and providing people what they want and valuable information, you don't have to ask to come back. One of the tests that I always do, and I ask my team this, is after I do a presentation at a board, I always in a week say, did they invite me back? Because 99% of the time, within 24 to 48 hours, we will get an email from one of the points of contacts and sometimes even the chairman saying, we would like Dr. Cole to be a regular fixture and present at every one of our quarterly meetings. That's how I know I did a good job. If it's 72 hours and we didn't get that email or that phone call, I then actually block out some thinking time for a couple of hours and revisit the presentation saying, what did I do wrong? Because clearly, if I was effective as I wanted to be, you would be so valuable that they would invite you back. So ask questions. Now, here's a couple of other tricks. If you're presenting, and this is a little harder virtual, but hopefully at some point we'll get back to normal. If you're presenting in person and you are talking and you start seeing people pick up their cell phones or going in and texting or doing other things other than taking notes, you need to abort the mission, stop what you're saying, and immediately engage in questions. Now, you don't want to do it in an embarrassing way. You don't want to be like, okay, Eric, I noticed you just picked up your phone and you texted. What's going on? I don't mean that. I would just sort of transition out very quickly of what I'm saying. And okay, I just want to reset here. Cybersecurity is very important to this business, and I believe it can be a business enabler. I just want to check, hey, Eric, is there anything particular that's on your mind right now that you would like to make sure I cover in this presentation when it comes to cybersecurity? And most of the time they'll be like, not anything particular. Oh, but Eric, there is this one little thing, right? That's always the game, right? They always start off with no, but there's always one little thing that tends to be a really, really big thing. And then based on that question, I then take my presentation in that manner. People like to have slides. I don't like slides because they lock you in to a static presentation. And the key to success when you're presenting to a board and you're talking to executives is you want to be dynamic. You want to adapt and adjust to the audience, to the questions, to the information. Now, yes, in some cases, they do want a formal presentation, but in those cases, I will always meet with the CEO and the board, the director of the board, before I present. And I'll ask them those questions. What are the most important things you want me to cover? What do you think of when you think of cybersecurity? What's the thing that concerns you the most? What are your biggest frustrations when it comes to cybersecurity? If you had a crystal ball and you could fix your security, what would be your ideal state in cybersecurity? Right? All strategic, all business-based questions, but the more questions you ask to understand what's important to the company and present on those items, not only the more effective will you be, but the more you'll be invited back and the more effective you will be at a world-class CISO. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Life of a CISO. Remember, if you want to jumpstart in 6 months or less, become world-class, definitely go to secure-anchor.com/CISO. And if you haven't picked up your copy of Cyber Crisis, what are you waiting for? Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.